On?
Now we are on. Good evening, afternoon. It is 5:01 and I'm calling the meeting to order. September 11th, 2024. And we're going to just start with roll call, please.
Okay. President Nakatani.
I'm here.
Trustee Abdullah.
Here.
Trustee Sanchez Hodge.
Present.
Trustee Yu.
Present.
And I'm trustee Katz and I'm present.
Thank you. Do we have any public comment on our closed session items? We do not. Okay, well, then we will just adjourn to closed session at 5:02. Thank you.
Wait, you are now.
quickly. Thank you.
What happened to your mic?
Well, we're not live yet.
Oh, I see.
I turned it on, but we're not. Now, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, thank you. Good evening. It is 6:05 and I call this meeting to order, Mill Valley School Board, September 11th, 2024. Thank you very much. And let's see, we do not have anything to report out of closed session, so we will go to roll call, please.
President Nakatani.
I'm here.
Trustee Abdullah. Here. Trustee Sernsic Hodge.
Present.
Trustee Yu. Present. And I'm trustee Katz, and I'm present.
No, member progress. And I'm looking for an approval of the tonight's agenda.
I so move.
A second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Agenda approved. And now we are going to go to communications to the board. And we have public comment. So, yeah. So all the public comment tonight, I believe, is on non-agenda items. And we have, this is it. Are there any more?
Public comment right now.
Okay, we're gonna close public comment forms and online and in person. And we have, do a little math here. Sorry. Not. 39 people. So our public comment is normally limited to 41. Thank you. And okay. So that we have 41 people. Public comment is normally 20 minutes per our governance handbook. And with 41 people, if everyone gets a minute apiece, because we allow ourselves to reduce time in order to hear all voices. If everyone gets a minute apiece, that would be a little over 41 minutes, but when you add in everything, it'll probably be 45 to 50 to be real. Is that okay with, I'm looking for kind of a spellful. Okay, thank you, board. With that, we will start. We have grouped, from what we can tell, we have grouped groups here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call up people in groups of four at a time. If you could line up here and everybody will have 1 minute to speak. If your public comment is longer than a minute, please pay attention to the clock because I don't want to have to use this to stop you from talking. I really don't. But please pay attention to the clock. And of course, you can email the board your public comment, which is all, you know, a really great thing because we then have the capacity and the time and the dedication to read it with a lot of thought. So with that, I have Julie Maheshwari, Anne-Marie Vicari, Tracy Urquhart, who is online, and then Juliet Mohit, who is online. So with Tracy and Juliet, just be prepared to unmute yourselves or. Oh, you are here. Thank you. Thank you. So we'll start with Julie and then Anne-Marie, Tracy, and then Juliet. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Julia Maheshwari. My daughter Kavya goes to Terra Marin School, and there has been a lot of discussion about the status of Terra Marin and whether it's able to stay in its current location. I would just advocate to say that the students are having a really wonderful year with fantastic learning and incredible teachers. And our hope is to avoid any disruption to the students' learning, stability of their learning environment, and cohesion of that community as all of these conversations are underway and any changes may take place. We would just love to keep our students as stable as possible. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. Anne-Marie? Is Anne-Marie online? Okay.
Thank you. I couldn't figure out how to unmute myself and now I know why. I'll be super quick with the minute. My concern is mainly over the MVMS rebuild. I think that for me personally, something that I'd love to see is a really clear compare as to how we got here, because I know that you all have done a lot of due diligence and this has been a really long process to get to the decision for MVMS to be rebuilt where it was and for the kids to stay there during construction. And I appreciate that. And I think the thing that I'm missing is really a crystal clear fact sheet almost of what it is, what it looks like for alternatives that were considered and then not decided upon, including sort of the cost, the breakdown, the feasibility, and just kind of really like the nuts and bolts. And I appreciate the parent group that put together all of the information that was really kind of clear and concise about some of the concerns. And I'd love to also see those
Thank
concerns
you,
kind of
Anne Marie.
addressed.
Thank you. Tracy?
Hi, I'm Tracy Urquhart. I'm a parent of rising, or I guess he's not rising, he's fifth grade now. I'm here to ask the board to reconsider the interim campus. At every meeting, parents have expressed concern about the safety smell of the interim site. We've tried again and again, but the board appears stuck on this plan. It's not too late to change course, and we're really hoping that you can take into consideration the alternatives. There are many reasons why we feel this way, myself and some other parents that I've been speaking with, but I'm really concerned with what's underneath the ground here. And when that is being dug up next to our kids that are behind a chain link fence. I support the project to renovate the middle school. I just don't want my child or any generations of children that are going to be there throughout this construction process to be affected by it. So I'm just asking you to look at the options and reconsider. Thank you.
Thank you. Juliet, thank you.
Is it on? Is it on? Okay. Hi, I'm Juliet Mohit, a teacher here at Mill Valley Middle School and a member of the steering committee for the rebuild of our campus. I wanted to thank the board and the district for all the work that has gone into this process. It has included numerous meetings where they've been taking input from all the stakeholder groups along the way. I just wanted to say that as someone who spends much of my life here on campus and who plans to spend the few years in temporary housing and many more years in the new building, I'm confident that through the planning process, including the in-depth CEQA reports, we will end up having a safe campus. Every day when we come to work, one of the primary things we think about is the safety of our students, and this process is no different. In addition, as someone who will be here every day, there's no reason why we would not want to have an environmentally safe campus. Why would we want to be in an unsafe place? I'm choosing to trust that in working through the process, the superintendent and the board will keep everyone on campus at the heart of making their decisions. They'll look at all of the information once we have it, and then make the right decision. Thank you for everything.
Next I have Kimberly Pearson, Natalie Dement, and Barbara Cameron. And then Gabriel Smith? Sabrina. Is there a Sabrina? Okay, thank you. Thank you. Go ahead.
I'd like to say thank you to the board and Dr. Kaufman for being thorough and thoughtful in your process while considering the rebuild of the school. I had a nice statement, but now it's shortened. I, as a teacher here and a 20-year veteran of education with multiple advanced degrees, have been on the steering committee as the whole process has unfolded. There is a process. And I trust that these people, as I do, care greatly about the children in this school and going through this process. And the CEQA report coming out will determine our next steps. But what is highly concerning is our community spreading facts that are not facts and not taking our board and our community of leaders that have taken this truly as their job and livelihood seriously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Would you kindly share your name too for some people who don't know your name?
Kimberly Pearson, special educator for the district.
Thank you.
Hello,
Hi.
my name is Sabrina Sinton, and I'll be really quick. I do believe it is possible to clean up a Superfund site.
That said, I am very concerned about doing that with adolescents who are going through puberty on this campus at that time. I had stage 3 breast cancer a couple years ago, and and I have no idea what brought that about. I do have a lot of concerns about what we breathe and the air that is going to be, and the noise and the distraction. I am very deeply concerned for the students.
Natalie and, sorry, Barbara. Natalie is online. Thank you.
Hi there. Sorry, you can hear my kiddos in the background. Thank you so much for having me. I am a parent at Tara Marin School. My older child, who's 4.5 years old, just wrapped up there in August. And then I have another son who will be turning 2, who's going to be joining the community in January. And I just wanted to state what an incredible school Tara Marin is, and furthermore, what a unique offering it has. It is the only Mandarin school that I know of in Marin County. And in addition to offering this unique language immersion program, it is also just a bastion for diversity in a place in Marin County, which I think in many ways desperately needs more spaces for diversity. It's provided a wonderful learning place for my older child, and I hope the same will be true for my younger one. And I echo what one of the earlier public commenters said about the great need for stability for these students to ensure that we can at least have them in the same location for this academic school year. I hope that, thank you so much.
Barbara Cameron, she's online. Thank you. Barbara, you're online.
Okay, I'm Barbara Cameron. I'm grandmother to a couple of Mill Valley Proud students. So our daughter had
Sorry, Barbara, we can't hear you right now. I don't know if you maybe.
there.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Oh, thank you. I'm Barbara Cameron, grandmother to a couple of Mill Valley Proud students. So our daughter had leukemia when she was 9 years old, and her lively little self came to an abrupt halt, as did all our lives. We put our lives on hold through 3 years of chemotherapy. She missed a year of school, but she thankfully recovered, although we might still have PTSD about the whole thing. She now lives in Mill Valley, and we're concerned about the campus that the temporary school would be moving to. They've found that schools built on landfills have 4 times the rate of leukemia among their students. From studies in Texas, Rhode Island, and Ohio. Parents there and everywhere say the money saved by building on a low-cost toxic landfill is just definitely not worth a lifetime of suffering, medical bills, and premature death for students. And we also add it's not worth the cost to our conscience or yours for putting promising young lives at risk. You hold the keys to their fate.
Thank you very much, Barbara. Let's see, we have 4 more people. We have Eric Halterman, Andrew Dawson, Sarah Vreed, and Alexi Cash. I want to say it's Casher, but it could be Cashen.
Use this one? Is it going to turn great? Is it good? Yeah, hi, my name's Eric Halterman. I've come here before. I've been trying to study the Measure G quite a bit over the last year or so. I'm just calling as a concerned taxpayer. I'm very concerned about the direction we're going with Measure G. I'm in real estate development. I just finished a 3-year project, which is orders of magnitude less complicated than this. And I think we're going down a path that's going to take a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of expenses. We may not even have a viable project in the next 2 to 3 years. There's a group, I'm going to give them a plug here. It's mvmsmodernizationmess.com. It shares some information. I hope if you're at home, you'll have a few minutes to take a look at that. But they've come up with some alternative ideas to save tens of millions of dollars, avoid the impacts that we're going to see building on the parking lot over here. And hope you'll take a look at it. Got 12 more seconds. That's mvmsmodernizationmess.com. Thanks for your time.
Sorry.
Hello, my name's Andrew Dawson. I'm the father of a rising sixth grader, so fifth grader this year, and a daughter in second grade. I think my primary concern with the Mill Valley Middle School Modernization Project is with the temporary campus. I know a lot of points have been made, and I think more will be made tonight, but one thing any of us knows who's lived through a construction project is all the disruption, the dust, the unbelievable kind of excavation, even at a normal construction site, at a house, at a backyard, landscape architecture. The idea of our children being mere feet away from such a dramatic, a large-scale excavation project with the dust that's inevitably going to be kicked up over a Superfund site where nobody knows exactly what's in the ground. And I appreciate what you all have done. I was a public servant for a long time. I know in some ways it feels like a thankless task. I recognize that there are no perfect solutions in a situation like this, but I would urge the board to reconsider this particular choice and to look towards a solution, the drawbacks of which don't gamble with the kind of health and safety of a generation of kids that live through COVID and
Thank
masking
you.
as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sarah?
Hello, Sarah Reedy. I have a sixth grader and a fourth grader. And I just wanted to come tonight to echo the concerns that others have raised. I, know you guys are all working really hard, but it does feel very rushed and very, with all these environmental concerns being raised and putting the students right next to a construction site. I work in construction as well, so know that there's a lot of noise and disruption. I just feel like it's again, it doesn't feel like the ideal solution. I was very upset about the citizens of the town rallying against the Friends Field build and was extremely disappointed because to move this school away from the smell of the sewage plant would have been a huge win for the town. And that's really disappointing. So I really wish the board would consider other options as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Alexi?
Hi there, my name's Alexi Cashin. I have a sixth grader here at MVMS. I also have a ninth grader who was just here. We love MVMS, we love the school district. I also have a third grader at Tam Valley Elementary School. I am concerned about the interim campus during the construction. I personally renovated my house here in Marin County, and yes, it took 20% more and twice as long to do it. But I had these thoughts and the gumption to stay and to live through the construction because I'm a tough cookie and my kids can handle it. And I'm so thankful that a lot of people talked me out of that. Nonetheless, my family was still inconvenienced by moving back into the house. I know what it's like to live amongst construction. And that's a decision that I can make to inconvenience my family, but I don't think it's a decision that we can make for every student in the district. And I don't think that it's one that the school board is rightfully making. I volunteer a lot. I know you do too. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We have Marina O'Sullivan, Michelle Passero. I said that right this time. Tom Maservi and Amy McCree.
Hello, I am Marina O'Sullivan. Thank you for letting us speak tonight. I'm concerned that the district and the board is not being forthcoming with important information regarding this site. Many parents are unaware of the toxic materials that lie underneath this building and the site history of the Mill Valley dump. Parents should be given the known contaminants and the high levels of those toxins in the Mill Valley dump. This site has multiple elevated levels of heavy metals and chemicals. Exposure to lead dust causes infertility, diminished IQ, neurologic, and cancer concerns. The Marin County Environmental Health Services, which is in charge of any post-closure activities of this site, sent you a letter in August and has recommended monitoring for explosive methane, radiation monitoring as radioactive waste has been found at other burn sites. The letter states that the health and safety plan would need to be detailed if students were on site even only during borings, not during construction.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Michelle Passero, and really appreciate the opportunity to speak. I'm also here to echo the concerns that are being reflected by a number of other parents about the temporary campus for the kids during construction. For all the reasons that were already stated, realize that, the district, doesn't always fall solely on your shoulders. And, with that in mind, I do hope and urge that we work with the city and with the county to find solutions for other sites. Certainly offer my help, to assist in any way we can to find alternatives versus having the temporary campus here during construction. So thank you.
Thank you. Tom, right? Yeah.
Hi, I'm Tom Maservi. I'm a parent of a second grader at Tam Valley and also a fifth grader. I'm speaking as a civil engineer and a real estate developer. I've built ground up residential and hotel projects in California and across the country. No site is without pros and cons, and almost every site requires some sort of mitigation. I support the school board in obtaining the proper testing and then trusting the experts to analyze the results. Only then can the board make an appropriate decision. That is the proper process. I have confidence the correct decision will ultimately be made for two reasons. First, members of the board have their own children that they will, of course, keep safe. Secondly, even if you question the board, California has some of the strictest environmental laws in the country, particularly for schools. A school or temporary trailers will only be built if experts definitively conclude it will be safe. I hope that we can stop forcing the board to spend precious taxpayer dollars fighting premature litigation. I support the board in their process so we can have a fact-based and expert-supported outcome for our children. Thank you.
Thank you. Amy.
Hi.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Amy McCrae, and I am an Edna parent. I'm speaking on behalf of my family this evening to express our support for the construction of the new middle school. I know that there are some loud voices in our community that are spreading misinformation about the project, and as a parent of future middle school students and a community member, I find this disheartening. I also would like to share that I am a construction management professional who has worked specifically in the industry of building schools in California. From my experience, I know that the school construction falls under the jurisdiction of the California Division of State Architect, which means that all permitting approvals go through the state, not through local jurisdiction. This means that our project approvals fall under the strictest of reviews and many, many layers of inspections before a single shovel can touch the ground. It is not possible for our project to proceed without every tiny detail being scrutinized for safety and constructability. The new middle school is so essential to our district and will be a great benefit to our community as a whole. My family and I are looking forward to the project proceeding as planned.
Thank you. Next, we have Susan Flint, Dominic Coleman, Tracy Urquhart, but yes, she's already spoken, and Miranda O'Connell. So we have Susan Flint, Dominic Coleman, Miranda O'Connell, and then Amanda Hind. Sorry, if I pronounce it well. So thank you, Susan.
Thanks, Chairman, or Trustee Nakatani. Hi, I'm Susan Flint, and I've been a district parent for over a decade. My oldest child is now a senior at Tam High and went through the Mill Valley School District. I am a member of the PTA Council and the Kiddo Board, but I am making comments tonight as a parent. I worked on the Measure G campaign, and I've been very excited to see the new middle school built since its passing in 2022. My seventh grader, excuse me, if all goes according to plan, will be in portables starting her 8th grade year, and it will be fine. The portable experience, from what I've heard, and granted, it's hearsay, at Edna was a good one for the kids that were in portables during the Edna board build. None of my kids will benefit from the new school, but I want to see it completed for the benefit of our community. I trust our school board and superintendent that they are making thoughtful, informed decisions about the project. Thank you to the board and the superintendent for all you do. And also, especially to the school board trustees, who are all volunteers and who have given an incredible amount of time. Thank you.
Dominic?
Good evening. I'm father of 3 in 5th grade in Old Mill. And I come here to recognize the work that's been done, recognize the effort to communicate and to provide transparency, but I'm troubled by what I hear and what I'm increasingly starting to learn. There's an old adage that the more I understand, the less I know. And every time I talk to more people about this, I'm concluded there's a lack of transparency in process, lack of transparency in the financial analysis, and the risks associated with the choices being made for Mill Valley Middle School. That's aside from the gross inconvenience of the alternative location and temporary here, and what appears to be a lack of understanding or appreciation of the alternatives. So again, if there is indeed a process that's been followed, I'd invite and welcome greater transparency from the board. I
Thank you.
appreciate the opportunity.
Am I next or some?
Miranda?
You are.
Okay, thank you. Hi, I'm Miranda O'Connell. I'm going to look down so I can sprint through this. Between the years of 2021 and 2029, 1 to 2 of my children are attending Mill Valley Middle School. I'm here to ask the board to change their plan for the interim campus for the Measure G remodel of the school, keeping the students and teachers and portables in the parking lot next to the skate park, closer to the smells of the treatment plant, and right next to the large construction site, all on top of an old dump that emits old trash and is full of capped methane, does not fulfill the board's mandate of education for the next 4 years, and exposes our kids to hazardous conditions. Why would we contemplate moving the administration off campus while keeping the teachers and kids on site during construction? There are viable alternatives for the interim campus. I can't tell if there's a bias on the board in seriously considering them, but we ask you to please do it to avoid a lost generation of students during reconstruction. I am very grateful for all your time and consideration and listening to all of us. We just ask you now, please take it into account. Thank you.
Thank you. Amanda?
Hello, my name is Amanda. Thank you for giving us time to give our comments. I have 3 kids, a 7th grader here at Mill Valley Middle School, a 4th grader who will be especially impacted by proposed plans, and a graduate over at Tam High now. I wanted to add my voice to the serious concerns regarding current plans for the location of the interim campus. I think it is a mistake. It's hard to understand how a demonstrably hazardous site could be a situation for a healthy and happy learning environment. Between the sounds of the construction and the noise and the smell, many people I know, all parents, a lot of people are just not happy with the process and the path that we're on. As someone who tries to keep up with the project, I do find it's a bit veiled, and I'm always surprised at what's happening next. So perhaps if there's something that can be more public in terms of the due diligence and the other sites that have been considered and why they're not moving forward, that would be great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We have Juliet Hart, Susan Dawson, Jasmine Bean, and then Evelyn Nichols. Oh, there's quite a lot. Okay. Okay. One speaker.
Hello, I'm Juliet Hart. I just wanted to let you all know that yesterday, the city of Mill Valley was awarded a grant from the Ocean Protection Council to develop a sea level rise adaptation plan for the entire shoreline of Mill Valley. I won't steal their thunder, even though I just did, but this will all be announced at Monday's city council meeting, but it is for a substantial amount. For the city's proposal, Dr. Kaufman wrote a letter of support. Thank you for the letter. The County of Marin, along with other governmental entities such as Marin Parks and the Transportation of Marin, Authority of Marin, also wrote letters of support. This will now kick off a comprehensive planning process to figure out what the future of Mill Valley should look like and how we can protect the entire city from coastal flooding, both from overland flooding from sea level rise as well as groundwater table rise from the shallowing of groundwater tables. While this money goes directly to the city, it will include broad community engagement and multi-agency-wide engagement. It's my hope through this process, all city and county agencies, as well as the district, will keep an open mind to think about how this region's coastline can best be modified to protect everyone. I continue to urge you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Susan Dawson. I have serious concerns about the temporary campus based on the following verifiable facts. Number 1, per the 2024 agreement with DTSC, this site is an old burn dump. Number 2, per its recent letter, the county cautions, and I quote, radiation monitoring should be performed as radioactive waste has been found at other burn dump sites. Per the EPA's 2003 report, there is lead present up to 6,500 milligrams per kilogram, whereas the allowable level is just 80. That same EPA report disclosed the presence of combustible gas. Even one explosion would be devastating. Dolores Norman, an 8-year-old, was badly burned after methane gas erupted at a park built on a landfill. That park was closed. When San Diego Unified built Bell Middle School on a landfill, it was
Thank you very
it
much.
had to close its
Susan.
playground. And there was years of litigation. We deserve
Thank you,
better to use our
Susan.
bond funds.
Jasmine?
Hi, I'm Jasmine. I'm a parent of a third grader, fifth grader, and a seventh grader. And I get the concerns about the interim site being not ideal. It's near the sewage treatment plant, the potential flood risks, sitting atop an old dump site. They're all valid. Safety and health is important to me as a family nurse practitioner. And I know that it's something that I'm concerned about my kids. You guys are concerned, and everybody here, we're all here because we care and we want what's best. It's worth remembering that the middle school that we're currently in right now has been safely operating here for decades. Extensive environmental testing has been done, and the temporary campus will just extend into areas a few hundred yards adjacent to the current site, ensuring continuity and safety for our children. Yes, construction is going to be noisy and it may disrupt learning. Any temporary solution is going to have its challenges, but let's have some faith in our kids' resilience to power through this temporary challenge, just as they will with other challenges in their lives. Thank you.
And then, sorry, we have, no, I'm just gonna, Evelyn? Sorry. So we have Evelyn Nichols, Misha Stein, Kelly Bratfulis, Sarah McDonald, Alan Livali, Julie Hamilton. Is one speaking for everyone?
I'll speak for everybody.
Okay, great, thank you.
Just to save time.
Thank you very much.
Okay, as parents from Strawberry Point and Tam Elementary School, we strongly support the current MVMS modernization plan. We urge the board to reject calls for reconsidering the middle school's location. Delays jeopardize critical Measure G funding, about $7 million annually, risking not only Mill Valley Middle School's rebuild, but the district's wide improvements. Our community overwhelmingly supports moving forward. We've talked to hundreds of families who agree. It's time to trust our dedicated district leaders and build a middle school we'll be proud of. This plan reflects extensive research by our board, district office, and staff. 3 board members have children who will attend Mill Valley Middle School during this rebuild, which highlights their personal investment. Alternative sites like Friendsfield and Terra Marin have been vetted and dismissed for valid reasons. Using the site near Mill Valley Middle School allows students to use areas part of the school that are not in this construction. Regarding environmental concerns, the district Superfund designation requests was a proactive step for additional cleanup funding, enhancing safety, not compromising it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Now we have Buddy Johnson. And I think might be changing topic. We have Michael Pastor, Wendy Shaw, and then Christina Chan.
I'm Buddy Johnson, and here comes my auctioneer voice. I'm a parent of 3 future students that will be starting here next year in 2025, running through 2032. I'm also a licensed civil engineer, geotechnical engineer, certified hydrogeologist, certified engineering geologist, and professional geologist in the state of California. I worked on lots of Superfund sites and school sites. In other words, I'm an expert. I prefer the alternate permanent site, but a decision has been made, and I accept that. I understand why many in the community would have concerns given the site history, but it's time to move forward and make it better. Work in a California school site would be one of the most highly regulated projects on planet Earth. Through careful planning, extensive regulatory oversight, sampling, testing, and monitoring of air and soil, these are all at precautionary and low thresholds to ensure that there won't be exposures or health impacts to the students or to the staff. I trust the experts, I trust the regulators, and I trust the board. Many don't realize there's a real cost to delaying the project, and requesting additional studies beyond what is required by the strict requirements will take budget away from other school improvements here and elsewhere. Thank you.
Thank you. Michael?
Hi, thank you for letting me speak. I'm here to support Terra Marin. I've been working with them for about 5 years now. Work closely with Wendy Zaw. I'm the school bus driver and the sort of maintenance person on campus, and I see all the work that's been going on throughout the years and how Wendy puts her heart and soul into keeping the school going. And, you know, she's really very thankless too, because I hardly ever see her you know, being very wanting, from the parents or anything. She just does it with all her heart. And yeah, I just feel it's unfair that we're being pushed out of Marin County. The kids love this campus. I love this campus. I'm a Marin County resident and I'd like to keep my job here. So that's another selfish reason why I'm supporting that we keep this campus open. Thank you.
Oh, could you please hold applause? Please, we don't do that. Thank you. Wendy?
Hello, Superintendent, Board of Trustees, and the esteemed Mill Valley community of parents and friends. I'm the founder and principal of Tamarin School, and I came to Mill Valley to build a school. And I built a school that grew so strong and impactful that we were able to expand to San Francisco. We had 16 years to our lease, and 6 years in, with still 10 more years to go, you raised my rent by 80% and squeezed me into an impossible position. You've dismantled a thriving school, a community that I poured my heart into building. I have invested $2.3 million into the building, which you are now taking from us. And then the small petty things, when we put the school community-wide Lunar New Year community celebration together and rented your Edmund McGuire facility, you locked us out of the bathrooms, even though the other renters can use them. And when I invited the superintendent and the board of trustees to attend the Lunar New Year Festival last February, no one attended. It was right before the rent hike too. So I guess you already knew.
Thank you very much. Christina Chan?
Hello, my name is Christina Chan, and I am a parent of a preschooler at Tamarin Preschool, and I'm also an education administrator in a lot of other school districts around the Bay Area. So I come with this as a parent lens and an educator lens. And I just want to reemphasize that we know that community and continuity is really paramount to all youth development. And so we just really don't want to have the Tamarin students interrupted their relationships that they've really built strongly this year and years previous to this interrupted if we can at all help it this school year. And living in the Bay Area, I'm very proud of the cultural responsiveness and support for multicultural representation that I usually experience. And I really hope that Marin and Mill Valley can uphold those values of diversity and cultural immersion, which Tamarin is actually bringing to our Marin community. And I also know that nothing in education happens without community and communication, and because it takes a village. And I highly encourage the school board to come back to the table in good faith and hopefully negotiate a lease deal that is fair for the Tamarin community, families and students. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We have Yan Zong, Harley Lee, Alice Fong, and Pratish Maheshwari.
Hi, everyone. My name is Yan Zhang, and I'm a Mandarin teacher at Tamarin School. I'm here today to ask the board to please reconsider the decision to take away our school building. As a teacher, I have seen incredible benefits that learning Mandarin brings our students, not just in terms of language, but also in developing deeper appreciate and understanding of Chinese culture. And working at Tamarin has been an amazing experience for me. And the building we are in plays a huge part in that success. It's not just place, it's where relationships are built, creativity is encouraged, and our sense of our community grows stronger every day. Moving the school would mean disrupting all these connections we have worked so hard to create among students, parents, and teachers. And it would change the unique collaborative environment that makes Tamarin special. I truly hope the board will think carefully about the impact of this decision. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Harley, and I'm a Mandarin teacher at Tamarin. I'm here to ask the board to please reconsider any plans to take away our school building. I love my job, and I love teaching Mandarin here. It's not just about teaching a language, it's about sharing my culture and helping to create a community that embraces diversity. Every day, I see my students making amazing progress. They came in knowing very little Mandarin, and now many of them are actually speaking and singing in Mandarin. Watching my students grow like this is incredible, and I don't want to lose the opportunity to continue teaching them at Tamarin. And I truly believe that we're building something special here, and I hope you can see the value in keeping this place for our students and the future of our community. Last but not least, I want to show you the board poster I see over there. Everywhere you go, leave a trail of kindness because you can. So really hope the school district can show our kindness heart to us. Thank you.
Thank you. Alice?
Hi, my name is Alice Fong. I'm a parent at the Tara Marin Preschool. This preschool is truly one of a kind in all of Marin. This school is a very special and delicate thing that takes focus and dedication on part of the staff and teachers to pull together. And now is in danger of suffocating because of the unfair burden that the school board has placed on this fragile startup nonprofit. From what I've gathered, you're planning to take all the space back for your administrative offices. This space is made for kids. Are you planning to have your staff use the taller-sized potties? In all seriousness, it breaks my heart to think that you would tear down the little toddler bathroom where my daughter is potty trained for cubicles and desks. So I ask you to please let us work together to find a way to let the school stay in this space. Frankly, at the exorbitant rent that you propose, the school be inoperable. And I can't imagine that that's what you want to see, that this whimsical place that you should be trying to nurture as part of Mill Valley's education community to die before it even gets off the ground. Thank you.
Pratish?
Hi, my name is Pratish Maheshwari. My daughter is a preschooler at Tara Marin. I want to emphasize a few things in a minute that I have. One, that it has been an incredible experience for the kids at the school thus far. We've had just very, very strong attendance, retention, et cetera. And you just hear the kids talk about everyone from Wendy to bus driver Michael, and they're just so enthusiastic every single day. It is a very unique offering, as you know. Mandarin is very important to our family, as my wife grew up speaking it. We're really hoping to retain that if possible. We really want to see if we can just work together. I believe Wendy's ask is just to have a very small portion of that school, given there's only a handful of classrooms. She's put her life's work into it. We as a parent community have put our work into it. We're just trying to retain a very small space, and we're hoping that you all can come to the table and find agreement. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And then we have Liz Couch, Ben Schuler, Jessica Isle, and James Isle.
We'll save time and represent each other.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Liz Couch, and my daughter, as you know, Adeline, was placed at Strawberry Point despite it not being our first or second choice and the farthest school from our home. While I have great respect for Strawberry and believe it is a wonderful school, I'm here to request that the board add a third first grade class to Tam Valley Elementary for the 2025-2026 school year and reconsider a placement process that no longer serves our community. This system doesn't benefit my daughter and other kids who must commute across town instead of walking or riding their bikes with their neighborhood friends. It doesn't benefit families spending hours in the car or teachers in certain schools like Tam Valley facing overcrowded classrooms. Adeline attended Edna McGuire for TK, which means she has moved schools 3 times in 3 years, with the possibility of a 4th move in Tam Valley if she gets off the wait list during the school year.
Hi, I'm Jessica Isles. I'm the parent of a kinder. We live at the top of Marin Drive, and we were placed at Strawberry Point. My son loves his teachers, he loves his friends, and he hates going to school because we have to leave the house at 7:30 to make sure that we can legally park for his school to start at 8:15. The community there is so upset about the parking situation. I witnessed a man just scream at the admin who just asked him to follow parking procedures, and they're just not doing it. I do want a first grade opened at Tam, but also I would like some help with the parking. And we have parent volunteers who are just getting yelled at and disrespected. Today, I was locked in when I was trying to drive home. So I just had to sit in the car. But you've done it. You've had such a huge impact making us all go over there with the parking can't handle it. And if we could get some help with that so that it doesn't create more drama that doesn't need to happen there. That would be a really big help.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is James Isles, speaking here again. Last time I came here to talk about placement, I said, trust but verify, and now I have enough data to verify. There's 15 Tamil Pius Homestead kids going to Strawberry Elementary. Average commute there is at least half an hour, about a half an hour back, another 8 from Strawberry. That's 23 kids in the incoming kindergarten, more than an entire class, more than there are from Strawberry. All of these families on average are going to be spending 8 to 10 hours a day in the car, 8 to 10 hours a week in the car. That is worse than the commute I used to have going down to Ames Research Center from San Francisco. This isn't a small impact. This takes a lot of time from every family here. It also means that the willingness for us to join the other community is going to be quite low, considering we're already driving all the time anyway. The understaffing of Tam Valley and not adding a third kindergarten class was an oversight 2 years ago, and it's an oversight again this last year. Adding those 2 TKs and locking up the facilities was probably not a great idea, considering the number of people that were coming in. Nakatani, you said there was a 90% success rate. I don't believe that could possibly be true, because I could talk to at least 24 people out of the 240 that are unhappy now. Please, please add the kindergartens back, add the first grade back to Tam Valley.
Thank you. We have Frank Ray de Perea, Aaron Pribble, Annie Silcox, and Scott Stillman.
Hello again, Board of Trustees. My name is Frank Ray de Perea, and I'm the parent of a kindergarten student at Strawberry Elementary, now Strawberry. Our family has lived in Tam Valley on Wellesley for the last 6 years, and we absolutely love being Mill Valley residents. I was here last month requesting one main thing. We wanted the district to consider opening a first grade classroom at Tam Valley Elementary next year to accommodate the 18 displaced Tam Valley kindergartners at Strawberry. This solution has been implemented in the past, and we are asking the school district to follow precedence here. This is a benefit to the students, district, and teachers. I can live with a temporary displacement, but we really need to create a solution that works for our community and future enrollees. The burden of lower enrollment at one school should not overly impact a targeted group of Tam Valley residents. There's a lot of good that we've seen with the school. We love the teachers there. The community is wonderful. This has nothing to do with Strawberry.
Thank you.
Hello, trustees. Dr. Kaufman, I've emailed you my full comments. I'm one of the 15 Homestead Tam Valley families who've been placed at Strawberry Point this year. At the last board meeting, several of us requested an additional kindergarten be added to Tam Valley since there's clearly ample demand. That ship has sailed, and we are now asking that a third first grade class be added to Tam Valley next year. We have plenty of time to make this happen. I'd like to approach this issue with some humility. I can imagine that the process of assigning kindergartners to different schools can be tremendously complex. And I thank you and the administration for doing your best to meet people's needs. I particularly appreciate Dr. Kaufman's efforts, like offering help with carpools, getting a before school kindergarten yard duty at Strawberry. We love our son's teacher. Seems like a great school, and it seems like a great community, but that's not really the point. The point is we want to be with our community. We want our son to attend his neighborhood school, Tam Valley, with the rest of his friends and preschool classmates from Kumar. It's not just that our son was placed at the school farthest from our home, it's that we've been separated from our community, and it's kind of heartbreaking, to be honest. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ann Silcox, and it's nice to see you all, but it is disappointing to be here again talking about class size in our lower elementary classes. I was one of many parents who worked on this issue with this board 2 years ago and thought we'd all agreed anything above 22 kids was too big to be a kindergarten class and definitely out of the question for first grade. Luckily for my daughter and her peers, in April 2023, this board agreed that the classes of 24 were too large and hurting our children's ability to thrive. So you agreed to add a third class as they moved to first grade to lower the class size. She has thrived with that in first and now second grade with 19 to 20 kids in each class. Now my son is a kindergartner and he is a class of 23, one of a handful of those actually across the district. So this is not about Tam Valley. This is a bigger district issue. And I'm quite concerned that the Tam Valley first grade also has a class of 23. In fact, this year, the district has put forth the highest average first grade class size we have ever seen. I want to fix this problem before the next school year. There are currently 236 students enrolled.
Thank you.
I'll email you the rest. Thank you.
Scott Stillman.
Hi, I'm Scott Stillman. Really appreciate you guys and all the time that you spend on these matters. I just want to say I've got a son who's in kindergarten right now at Tam Valley, and I'm in support of a third class being added to the first grade next year. I also have a daughter who's in fourth grade at Tam Valley, and I want to say that I am in support of not having the interim construction and the students being housed at the middle school during that project. I think they should be housed and basically, off campus, not here. So again, thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. That concludes public comment. And with that, we will move on to the rest of our agenda. And the first is the CSEA report. So I don't know if everyone can hear me. I'm not sure, is Yiming here or Pat's here? Okay. He's on, oh, sorry, I have to take my glasses off to read, so.
He's working against it.
There you are. Thank you, Pat.
Can I suggest something? I wonder if the people are aware of what the rest of our agenda is.
Trustee Yu
especially
brings up a
budget.
really good point for all those that are leaving. You might miss some
class
interesting
size.
discussion.
Especially you want to discuss classroom
If you're-
sizes and.
Well, it's not an agendized item, so.
But
yeah.
no, but budget, our budget.
Again, yeah,
Yeah.
you know what? I've made an announcement and we're
Yeah.
gonna move on. So, thank you, Pat. Sorry.
I kind of wanted to piggyback back into the start of the summer and my group, maintenance, custodial, tech, grounds. We did a huge amount of work here over the summer period and work that we're proud of as employees here. And we think that we're an important part of the educational process here. And we got a lot of help from the district too. Julio brought in some outside companies that assisted us. And without that help, we really probably couldn't have done all the work. So we appreciate that the district supported us in that manner. In regards to the new middle school, I was at Edna McGuire when Edna McGuire was torn down completely, and a lot of the same concerns were brought up, and it was kind of different because it's not built on the same site that this is. But, it wasn't an easy process as an employee. And I've had a lot of employees, express concerns to me about, well, how are we going to work at the new school? And it's kind of a situation where everybody has to do their fair share. And that's, not only employees, administration, and the community needs to realize that it's a huge process and they need to have faith in the people that the school district is going to hire. These companies know what they're doing. They have a lot of experience doing this. And that's what that was 10 years ago. And that's, kind of from observation, that's what I observed from the company that rebuilt Edna McGuire. And Edna McGuire is a really nice school. So I think the middle school and the community here deserves the same thing. That's about what I say.
Yeah. I just try to add, and tech doing lots of work too. Also, we've been short staffed over a year. We just got hired a new tech member. So, but we still have a lot of tech requests from teacher classrooms that we can fix the stuff there and then make it the classroom works great, on that new school year. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
And we have Julie. No, Aaron. Thank you, MVTA.
Good evening. Thanks for having me. We just had a packed house, so I'm going to keep it short and sweet. Mill Valley teachers have started the year off with a bang. Elementary teachers are working really hard on implementing a new language arts curriculum, and we invite you to talk to teachers about it and get their feedback about how it's working in their classrooms. MVTA members were excited to hear that Ellie and Michelle have decided to run again for school board. And now that we know that no one else is running, we can celebrate having 5 MVTA endorsed candidates on our board again. We also wanted to thank the board and Dr. Kaufman for all the time and effort you have spent working on behalf of the students of Mill Valley. We know that you have our students' best interest in mind and work diligently to ensure the safety and success of MVSD students and staff. We look forward to working with you all year.
Thank you. Thank you. And Dr. Kaufman, thank you.
So I'm pleased to welcome us back this year. I want to just share some developments at the district office, as well as an attempt at a one pager, but it's kind of 2 pages for where we're headed this year. So, obviously we always begin with our vision and mission, which, is very importantly focused on children. So we are committed to making globally prepared and well-rounded, happy, healthy children. Next slide. One of the things I wanted to just make sure people knew, this is probably more relevant for the folks who are in our system than for parents, but that we are working based on the district office audit that was conducted last spring. We're working on some restructuring in our department. So you'll see here that we are during the period of construction and preparation for construction, we are really trying to focus our resources on making sure that that we're appropriately staffed and managed for building our Measure G project and school and facilities modernization efforts. So our assistant superintendent Paula has joined us, and she's really going to be focused on business operations and technology. So we've elevated Sue Murphy to an interim director of fiscal resources for a 2-year period, just again to help us get launched. And then we have Director of Maintenance Operations, Julio, who you all know, and then Alec Barnhart will be moving up from Tech Systems Manager to Director of Technology. And the rationale for that move is we really would like to have our server and technology setup completed prior to breaking ground for our middle school. That was not quite how we had originally envisioned it, but we want to make sure our technology is up and running and prepared to sustain our district while we're doing construction. You'll see in human resources, we have, last year we ran without a director. And this year, we're going to try a 0.5 director with Aaron Conklin supporting us. And then we've had Sid Amaral, who you'll see over there supporting the classified staff side of the house, and Annette Gamboa, who was the single employee in human resources last year, is going to continue working with certificated. And then we are continuing to have Esmeralda Mondragon support us with negotiations and, helping develop systems and processes. And then finally, in the Ed Services team, this is really a build. The prior 2 redesigns were focused on the audit results. And in this case, this redesign is focused on our local control accountability plan, where we are really trying to make sure curriculum, instruction, and assessment fall in one location and can help us build a data-driven problem-solving approach to supporting students with just what they need at any given point. So Kate Sprague is going to be taking that on, and Aaron will continue more specifically focused in a 0.5 role for special education. And then based on feedback, particularly from our site principals about the need for positive behavior supports and interventions, and really focusing on the whole child, the wellness in addition. So positive, school climate and social emotional learning. Laura Myers is going to pick that up and be supporting that. So we've restructured. Laura's been in this role before. It's just a different job description. And so that is our new district office team. I added that DEI is everyone's work because I don't think inclusion and equity are a separate committee or separate leadership role, but they belong to the work of every single one of us in this organization. So quick review, I'm not going to go through a whole lot about this. Typically, as a school district, one of the things we're trying to focus on is the answers to 4 questions that we answer together. What do we want all students to know and be able to do? How do we know they know? What do we do if they do know? And what do we do if they don't know? And really, that's how we should be aligning our resources and work. And I'll have to stick to the next slide, which is really focusing on aligned curriculum that is reflective of the grade levels content standards, and then systems to support differentiation and extra support or acceleration as needed, assessments to help us move forward, and then obviously the appropriate staffing and support to do multi-tiered systems of support. So one of the big challenges for us as a district is the instructional time. So we've really tried to make sure that with the adoption of a language arts program that requires 120 to 90 minutes a day in a given grade level, we prioritize that time, and as well as time for mathematics, just because those are the building blocks to get our kids ready for middle school and high school. That does not mean we are not doing other things. We are definitely prioritizing science and social science, but this is going to be, you know, an ongoing consideration for us, is just how do we maximize the learning time for our children and ensure they continue to get co-curricular enrichment opportunities as well. This is the attempt at the one pager. Next slide. It's a one page with a lot of things around it. So on the far side, you'll see our local control accountability plan goals. And you'll see those hopefully in a diagram that shows that really our why is we want to make sure our students have an excellent education, and that for every child in our system, they grow at least 1 year based on whatever local metrics are appropriate for their learning. And that we ensure that we have a rigorous core curriculum, that we provide increased support and extension for students who need support, and those who are performing above grade level that need extension, and that our schools are safe. We hope to do this through community engagement, shared problem solving, transparency, and customer service. I think you'll witness that we are willing to be in the room consistently and listen to our community. And that's a commitment that we've made under my leadership and with this governance team. And it's a work that we'll continue to do. Next slide. So I won't go over this, but this is really how we're trying to roll out the local controlled accountability plan. And I want to reiterate for our teaching staff who are endeavoring to do the really rigorous and demanding work of learning a brand new language arts curriculum that is multifaceted, that we are going to proceed one lesson, one day, one unit at a time. And we're in this together, and, you know, we're going to do the very best we can to learn along the way. And then finally, people have asked, and when I came on board last year, I really didn't have the chance to orient the community to my leadership. And so in this case, I really want to say where I stand as a superintendent, and this is stolen completely from the Center for Educational Leadership at the University of Washington. But my leadership is to make sure that we develop courageous leaders in our classrooms and schools to really address educational inequalities and creating cultures of rigorous teaching and learning for all students, and making sure that all students are at the table. And that what we want to end up with is children who have limitless futures, that what happens in a given moment in our schools in United States education, we don't know what their world they're going to be like when they graduate from 8th grade, let alone high school. So, and more simply, and this is an ethos that I hope we can, I know it's true of our children already. I know this to be very true of our district, but really that every child in this school, when they leave at a given day and they go home to their parents, they share something up that they're happy about having learned and been part of, and that they're proud of. And if we can do that, we are creating children who are, you know, future-proof. They can make sure that they'll succeed no matter where they go. So that's what I stand for as a leader. And I just wanted the opportunity to share that. Final slide is basically a promise that we want to hold for our learners and for our staff as well, and really in our community, that, you know, in order to be a system where children are happy and proud, we have to find ourselves in a place where we feel like we belong as members of a learning community. We feel like we can succeed. we feel the work we're doing has value and that we can grow and learn. And I hope, again, our governance team is modeling that. We've come a long way as a team, and my hope is that we continue to model this and encourage this practice among our staff and in our children. That's it. Superintendent's report.
Thank you very much.
Can I ask, where can parents see this and share with those who were here but left? How can we get this to a larger audience?
Online, it'll be part of the presentation on the website, and anyone who wants to watch the video of the rest of this meeting can also find it online soon.
That's wonderful. So maybe it can be put in Parent Square as a reminder that, yeah, that is important information. Thank you.
Trustee, you?
Yeah, I like to make a comment here. I just saw the classroom become a lot empty. And what is interesting is I kept hearing about transparency, and we are trying to be transparent. We are trying to communicate. And it will be really nice if people actually realize that there is a lot of transparency, there is information. And if you stay today, you will get some more information about what our financial situation is and what we are planning to do for future classroom sizes and everything else, and why we are doing things that way, because decisions are not being made in a
Trustee, I
vacuum.
don't know that that's on today's
No, it's not in
agenda.
today's agenda, but it's in some of the studies that we're trying to do. So I'm not talking about today's agenda, but we are talking about financials, for example. For me, that has an implication on the classroom size and everything else.
But to
No,
discuss
I
it
mean
all-
but we are launching a lot of studies, and to
Right.
me, if you listened, you would realize that we are trying to study the situation. We are trying to be thoughtful about it. We're trying to provide people with information. And if it's not, if people don't listen to it and they just leave after attending a board meeting, it's really hard to justify the complaint about transparency and accusations that we're just making decisions thoughtlessly and carelessly.
I agree with that. Thank
So
you. Yeah.
that's what I'm trying to encourage the community actually to follow. And there are a lot of presentations and actually listen, and you would understand why we're making the decisions that we're making.
Thanks. Let's see. With that, we are going to looking for approval of the consent agenda. But before we do that, are there any items that anybody wants to remove from consent agenda?
I just want to make a comment on one of them.
Sure.
Just in case, people are busy, they don't read it. I see that we have the Davis demographics. And so that's to help us actually analyze where our demographics, our enrollment forecast, boundary analysis. And so I just want to say that's very helpful that you're getting that. I know it fluctuates. I know when I started, everybody was moving to Sycamore Park, and that was the impacted area. So to the extent that they will be able to kind of help shed light on, where families are moving, where we're seeing kids, to ensure that we're building the right capacities in the right place, that would be really helpful. So I appreciate you adding that there. I'm assuming you'll bring the results to us at a future board meeting.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So just quickly, there are a couple purposes of this study. One is, of course, look at where children live and projected enrollment over time, in those locations, so we can address school capacity. Additionally, we are looking at our overall enrollment. We know California is declining in enrollment. We want to see if that artifact is true of Mill Valley, because that will determine the size of the middle school we build. Right now, we're projecting for 1,100 students, but we want to make sure that, again, the trend in California is that we would not regain those students. So we need to have that information studied. And then, finally, to help us determine school capacity. So, what is the best configuration for children based on where we are right now? And then how might we need to be prepared in policy development to adapt to those fluctuations, because they are part of our community. So that's the purpose of it. Moving forward, we will probably do some type of an interim placement process while we wait for those results, because we do need to enroll students for next year and recruit families, by December. So I need some sort of policy change October, November, with the idea that, again, we will have an expanded process once we know the demographic study results. So that would inform 26, 27. So anyway, that's, I want to make sure people know that we're listening and planning and yeah.
And real quick, I think that both your question, trustee Abdoli, and that answer, Dr. Kaufman, go exactly to what trustee Yu was saying. So thank you for all of that clarification. Trustee Katz.
I will not restate everything. I will just say thank you as a parent. And I would say for many of the kindergarten parents who are coming this year in prior years, probably have not been avid followers of our prior board campaigns or the last couple of years of our board meetings. But as somebody who moved to the community 5 years ago and had 2 children split in 2 different schools in the district where I could not replicate myself to be in 2 places at the same time, we have made progress in the direction of now we have sibling priorities so that families don't get split. There is history where we have made steps, and we are committed to continuing to make steps to ensure that we're doing what's best for our community and for our children. And so just know that we have been moving the needle and are committed to continuing to do so. Unfortunately, it's not a process that moves as fast as any of us would like it to, but it is moving. So thank you.
With that, I'm looking for an approval of the consent agenda. Trustee Yu first.
Second.
Trustee Katz, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Hi, with my normal abstentions.
Thank you. Motion passes. And then the next thing we have is the public hearing on sufficiency of textbooks and instructional materials. So I will adjourn this meeting at 7:17 and I will open the public hearing for this. Do we have any public comment on the public hearing sufficiency of textbooks and instructional materials? We do not. With that, I will close that meeting and reconvene our regular meeting, all at 7:17.
Do you want me to?
Yes, Dr. Hoffman, please.
So this is a routine item based on a prior act that wanted to ensure that all children had access to core instructional materials in language arts, science, social science, math. And so this is an item that we approve annually based on input from our principal teams and also from, inventorying of materials at sites. I'm very happy to announce that we do have our first ever, first in I don't know how long, district-wide adoption for language arts. So we have definitely moved the needle in that way. And I'm looking forward to at some point bringing forward a mathematics adoption as the new framework and publications are vetted by people other than us. So we can pick the best one. So anyway, all we need is an approval of a resolution. I believe since it's a resolution, it needs to be a roll call.
You do this.
No, the motion.
Yes, a motion first. Could I get a motion to approve the resolution?
I'll so moved, yeah.
Thank
I'll
you.
second.
Thank you.
And all in favor?
No, it's a roll call.
Sorry, President Nakatani.
Yeah, aye.
Trustee Abdoli.
Aye.
I was gonna say here.
I'm gonna get it.
Aye.
Trustee Yu.
Aye.
And I'm Trustee Katz, and I'm an aye.
Oh.
Did we
Okay.
do that correct?
Did we do it wrong?
Yes, sorry. Yeah, no, we did it correctly. I know. I forget too. Okay, then we will move on to facilities next. Consider approval of design development for Strawberry Point and Tam Valley. And we have one public comment, which comes after the consider approval. So we're gonna listen to, thank you, design team.
So staff presentation.
Staff
public
presentation
comment,
for
and
public
then
comment and then,
board
yeah,
deliberation.
thank you.
Good evening. We're here tonight to update on our modernization projects, Tam Valley and Strawberry Point. Here with me tonight is with AECOM is Sandrine Hitchcock, HR Program Manager, as well with JKAE, who are our architects assigned to both sites, Chris Vicinio and Ted Felix. So I'm going to hand it over to Ted and Chris to be able to give the update. And so this is our first elementary school sites that we're going through the design process for our modernization projects. And so what we're going to do is go over the schedule, go over the projects that we're going to have at each site, and then some of the feedback that we received from the sites, and that's a continuing development, and just talk about next steps.
Good evening, Superintendent and Board. Chris Vicencio, partner with JKAE. Happy to be here this evening to share an overview of the project, and we'll start with the schedule. As you know, we previously completed schematic design and are now at the completion phase of design development. We've been happy to do a lot of site and stakeholder engagement along the way, and you can see here that, for example, we had PTA engagement at both sites in schematic design. We had staff presentation and feedback also at both sites and during schematic design, and similarly during design development, we had staff, principal engagement and feedback for both schools during the process. We're now at the end of design development, getting ready to go into the final phase of design before we submit to DSA, and we'll be complete in early November and be into DSA before Thanksgiving, with the goal of being out of DSA by early May in time for a summer 2025 construction.
Sorry. If you take a look at the screen, we could kind of run through just a summary of the items that are included within the scope for Strawberry Point. Item number 1 is path travel upgrades. You can see that it's kind of concentrated at the student drop-off location to the north and at the outdoor learning environment / garden center to the south. We also have repair curb around the kindergarten play structure, which you can see on the west side of on the left side of the image. Item number 3 is replacing the wood retaining wall on the west side of the property. Item number 4 is to replace the basketball hoops and backboards along in the campus. Item number 5 is a new outdoor learning environment, which we'll get into more detail on the next slide, similar to SD. Item number 6 is replacing all the drinking fountains with new high-low drinking fountains with integrated bottle fillers. Item number 7 is going to be replacing the electrical panel MSB number 2 on the south side of the property. Item number 8 is the fire alarm upgrades, which is going to be replacing all smoke and CO detectors in classrooms as required by code, and add new detectors where needed. Item number 9 is replacing the sprinkler heads across campus. And item number 10 is to complete the campus fire loop and add hydrants needed for fire access coverage. Looking at the next page, you guys can get an understanding of what we want to do for the outdoor learning environment. We have a conceptual rendering on the left, and on the right, we have a site plan showing what we plan on doing at Strawberry Point. And in the bottom, you can see some inspiration images, both Edna McGuire, which currently has an outdoor learning environment, and then some inspiration images for some of the features we want to include on the project. Looking at the legend on the right, which might be a little hard to read, apologies for that. But item number 1, we have the outdoor learning environment structure itself. That is the shade structure outdoor classroom. Item number 2, we have an outdoor learning circle, uncovered kind of teaching area. Item number 3, we have the raised planter beds. Item number 4 is rainwater collection. Item number 5 is work tables. Item number 6 is composting. 7, concrete walkway. 8, decomposed granite path. 9, landscaping area, and 10, an accessible pathway for students. If you look at the rendering on the right, you could see some of the key or on the left, sorry, you could see some of the key features, such as stainless steel cabinets and sinks, which will all be lockable, as well as a storage closet. We have a school clock shown on the rendering, as well as whiteboards and pinup space. And on the right-hand side of the structure, we have a slat screen wall to provide a little bit more visibility and airflow through the actual structure itself to feel a little less enclosed. And then to the right of that, we have the learning circle, which provides an opportunity for teachers to be able to teach a variety of classes out in nature itself. Moving on to TAM to just kind of run through the general scope items as we work our way down the list. Item number 1, we have path travel upgrades, again highlighted in yellow on the site plan. Item number 2, we have the accessible parking area will be restriped to meet current code. Item number 3 is a new kindergarten play structure, as well as repair and repaint any of the asphalt play area around the new play structure, which is going to get disrupted with the replacement. Item number 4, we have the replacement of all the basketball hoops and backboards. Item number 5, again, we have the outdoor learning environment and upgrades to the garden area to meet current accessibility requirements. Item number 6, we have replaced all drinking fountains again with new high-low drinking fountains with integrated bottle fillers. Item number 7, we have replacing all partitions and restrooms with phenolic panels. Item number 8, we have replaced lavatories nearing the end of their life. Item number 9, again, fire alarm upgrades include replacing all the smoke and CO detectors in classroom to bring up the current code, as well as new detectors where needed. Item number 10 is replacing sprinkler heads. Item number 11 is repairing the fire riser. And item number 12 is to fix fire truck access around the trash enclosure. Very similar features to what we went over in Strawberry on TAM. As far as legend goes, it's pretty much the exact same. If you look on the rendering on the left, you could see the same features that we had called out for Strawberry, also called out in TAM. And yeah, that's about it.
I think just to go back to the outdoor learning environment, this is where we receive more feedback around the wanting to maintain as much as we could some of the elements that are currently in the garden. So that's one of the features that we're trying to maintain in there. And so that's just one of the things I wanted to bring up is from the site's perspective, they really like the garden that they have now. And so we wanted to maintain a lot of the essence and a lot of the elements that we could as part of this project as well.
And lastly, we have the new play structure upgrades for Tam Valley. As you can see on the screen, we have a conceptual site plan and a conceptual rendering in the bottom right-hand corner of what will be included in that new play structure. And some of the key features that are called out as kind of zones or activities with that are the imagination zones, spinning zones, quiet zones, sliding and climbing, music, rocking, and then some extra stuff kind of around the side where we're talking about redoing some of the painting with drop shot, number circle, and a tricycle path.
And we met with the staff just recently around this design. And so there'll be a couple tweaks that we'll share with the board after this board meeting. And with part of when we came about with the Old Mill playground remodeling that we did a couple years back, one of the elements is we wanted to make sure there was really an emphasis on being inclusive of the playground. And so having ITAV bring forward their recommendations, having a rep there, making sure that we have folks from our special ed department involved, as well as the classroom teachers. And so we met with the site staff to incorporate those folks into the design. And so there will be some tweaks made to this design that will be bringing forward and updating the board in the future as well.
And just kind of the review where we at on the estimates, you could see in bold underneath current estimate that for Strawberry, we're at $2,737,487. For Tam Valley, we are at $3,294,097. And as you can see between the previous estimate at the end of SD from 6/12/24, we are currently a little under that budget.
Thank you. And that's what we have for tonight, and we'll open it up for questions.
I think we go to public comment
We have a public
first.
comment before we, Jessica Isles? You can have 3 minutes because you're the only one.
Oh, sorry.
I fully support both of those plans. I think they're wonderful. I think outdoor education is great. I sent my son to a forest preschool. for that reason. And I just really want to say that I would urge you to spend more on Strawberry Point. The play facilities are the smallest of all the schools. You are upgrading the TAM kinder area, and they have 2 kindergartens and 2 TKs. The Strawberry Point has 2 kindergartens and 1 TK, so it's not that difference in size, but the play structures are so old. In addition, Strawberry Point serves the most economically diverse, and some of the kids come from apartments, and there's not other suitable play structures in the Strawberry area. They are proposing Reggie Park Playground, but that will be aimed at age 6 and under. There's proposals for a Strawberry Cove playground, but no official plans. I really urge you to consider upgrading some of the Strawberry Point play structures. And I understand that you're trying to divide the money evenly, but I think in this case, anybody who saw those structures and saw the ones at the other schools would agree that they need to be improved for the entire area, for the most racially diverse school, the most economically diverse. I mean, they need better play structures in the area. The only park is Brickyard Park, and it's very far away. And many, can't walk there. And the children of the Strawberry area deserve a really great place to play, and Strawberry Point School could be that. And they're proposing building stuff at Seminary at Strawberry, but none of the proposals have playground space. Some of them are retirement, some of them are for college students, but they do have what they call multifamily buildings, and I assume that means apartments. So having better play structures for those children also would really benefit the entire community that you serve in the Strawberry area. Thank you.
Thank you. So board deliberations.
Respond. Can I ask questions?
Yeah, well,
Do you want me to pose it?
Sure. Why don't I just say this? I had the district office print me out the entire sets of drawings, and I went through every single page. And there are detailed play structure plans for Strawberry that are not in this presentation. Is that helpful?
No.
Sorry.
No, I meant so they're coming? What does that mean?
Well, let's ask the architects if you
Yeah.
could describe the play structure situation at Strawberry in a little bit more detail.
All right, I'll respond. Actually, the scope of work as defined in the facility master plan only had replacement of the play structures at TAM. Strawberry is a replacement of the play surface, not the actual structure.
Okay.
But can you answer the question of what made you choose not to replace the Strawberry, especially like the kindergarten play structure, especially when you look at it compared to some of the other playgrounds?
When we went into the facility master plan, we had an assessment of each playground done, and they were rated by grades. Around that time, we made a presentation to the board of just kind of where it was in the grade rating, and where the ones with the highest need were at Tam Valley. That's how they, based off the safety rating, the how old the equipment was, and the different rationale of, and that's how we came up with the priority 1 items.
So basically you improve TAM. TAM now is going to be a
Yeah.
higher number, which actually just
Yeah.
pushes Strawberry down in comparison.
And there's it, I won't say that Strawberry's next. I can bring back, I can send a board of communication on just kind of the order of where we're at right now with the play structures. Cause I think Park may be next in terms of, but each playground was looked at specifically.
Yeah, that'd be helpful.
Yeah.
Just to kind of see it, especially if parents are perceiving that, to see what it.
Yeah. I think there's an adult to, is it the surface of the main playground? I don't remember what the ad alternate was for Strawberry, but there's like a colorful track that painting is part of the base bid, right? Like is that the ad alternate?
That's one of the play surface, which would be a seal coat, and redoing the play lining, the playground lines is one of the alternates.
That's
for
all, that's
Strawberry.
all ad alternate. Okay. Trustee, you?
Is this a done deal? Are we asked to be approved this plan, or because what I have question is, I know there was a talk of improving safety at our schools at one point, and we hired a consultant, for example, to look at fencing. And I don't see that being addressed. It just seems like it's pretty, but it seems pretty. I mean, I know we are constrained by the money and we don't know whether the new bond measure will pass. But I just want to, I know, and I should have brought this up to Elizabeth earlier, and my apologies.
Which bond measure you're referring to?
Measure G.
No, no,
No,
you mean
you're
the
talking about the
The
state bond.
state bond might determine this, but we even hired a consultant to look at school safety a while back. And we spent all that money regarding how we could improve safety at schools, especially, for example, at Tam Valley, it's wide open. There was recently a school shooting. I'm very kind of disappointed that we're not seeing any improvements made to the safety of our
Well,
schools.
trustee, I don't think that was ever in the project.
But
because
why
it's
do
a-
we hire that consultant? I mean,
It-
why? I don't, I'm trying to understand, how is this prioritized? Like what?
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
is the
it's-
language of the bond and the master plan. is
Okay,
what
it's
that's gonna
not
set it.
improved. There's no safety
And I
in
It's
it.
not that there's no safety, it's just that I think what you're referring to is a different thing.
I
Okay,
think it's the
Um,
priority one, if I understand correctly, priority one projects from the facilities master plan. And should budget allow, then would be able to add on more, but the focus was on the
The
highest
playground?
priority from the facilities master plan.
which was just the water and the outdoor learning was our specified. I just would like to see it again, maybe, because for me, I mean, sorry, I wasn't paying attention. For me, there is a disconnect between what I'm presented to what I anticipated, and maybe I need to review the priority list and how this got here. What, I mean, talk about transparency. I'm just suddenly presented this.
It's
There was
not
no
any
other-
different than the schematic design that we approved a few
Okay.
months ago. Yeah.
Right.
It's a further development of the schematic design, but the scope of work is more clearly defined, and they've even identified add alternates to the project.
And should the state bond measure passes, is that all that money going to go where? Towards the middle school?
That's not a question for me. I'm just explaining the
Okay.
drawings.
Are we ever thinking of implementing some of the recommendations that safety consultant made at one point?
Part of the report that came about from the assessment for the safety considerations, the cameras were a big part of that, and that's what
Yeah.
was added this last summer. That was a big investment in the school safety, as well as we've been doing things. One of the big things is visibility, and so keeping bushes low, making sure we're raising trees, increasing visibility around the site was a big thing that came around from that assessment as well. And so also making sure that we have clear some of the smaller things, clear listings of the buildings, which building is what. So those were some, but the larger items were like cameras. Also, fencing is also a best practice, but one of the big things we did with this summer was the cameras.
Are we ever going to do fencing, or is it just shelved now because we have?
I mean, we have
camera?
fencing, like, they lock you out after.
Tam doesn't.
TAM doesn't, not every school
and
has a
that doesn't
perimeter
affect-
fence,
yeah.
the way that Strawberry does. I think Park and Strawberry, the only two schools.
Are we
Old
ever
Mill.
going
Yeah.
to make?
Old
Old
Mill.
Mill, yeah, Old Mill, yeah,
Old
sorry, that
Mill
have
Park,
uh,
and Strawberry.
locked.
But we've
Uh,
also talked
perimeter
about, like, I
fencing.
mean, the problem, Amy, is that we also got the community that wants that free flow as well. So I think I mean, it might be part of a bigger discussion of
I
the
think-
parents who don't want us to make it look like a jail versus the parent, like.
Yeah,
we
but
have
I
this-
think that we don't know what the parents think. And to me, what concerns me is the egress and ingress at Tam Valley. I mean, and the fact that there are numerous trails that lead onto Tennessee Valley Road. I've seen homeless person camp out there. I mean, I just feel like it's very nice, but if 3 of the 5 schools have fencing,
So
I
I
mean-
think this is a conversation not for this phase of this
Okay.
project, because what you're talking about, Tam Valley in particular, through like Facilitron, sorry, Dr. Like people use the fields after school and things. So it's a little different. People don't do that at Strawberry. They don't do that at Park. They don't do that at Old Mill. but our fields are rented. Sorry, Dr. Kaufman, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that there are other fund sources that we can do that as well. So I think that this is again, all the bond funding project. I
Okay.
do believe that there's an interest and there have been conversations around securing the campuses for ingress and egress, including considering, an entry to Tam Valley, but also to the extent we can, securing the perimeter. It's just that we have to probably need to do this part first so that we're not undoing work that we do in terms of fencing and construction. And then the other piece being we have deferred maintenance and Fund 40 that we could consider for those long-term projects as
Okay.
well.
And I do think for the middle school, we definitely have all
Oh,
of
yeah.
these. So I understand where, we're addressing it going forward, and it sounds like maybe we need to step back and see if there's a way we could
Yeah,
look
I
at it
mean,
for
we,
TAM.
when we talk about safety, we talk
Yeah,
about
but-
safety in a lot of ways. And, with the terrible things that go on in this country, our minds immediately kind of go to one area. But one of the massive improvements that we're doing here is fire life safety. And, we kind of forget about it, but we do need better sprinkler heads. We do need an improved, smoke detector and everything. So that is, and I don't want to get into statistics, but that's far more likely to, be of concern. So we definitely want to get to those projects. That's just kind of like keeping our building healthy as is.
Yeah, I mean, I would also like to make one observation. I know there's threat of lawsuit from parent group to delay the construction possibly. Each year's delay costs us $7 million. I mean, and to me, if should that happen, we need to prioritize where the cuts will have to come, and where what we will have to sacrifice. I want to make it very wide to the community. Each year's delay, $7 million, 2 years, $15 million with compounding. I mean, we are already tight on funds, and I want everybody to be aware that we cannot we cannot just continue to languish and waste tens of millions of dollars when we have tight budget and we don't know what's going to happen with the state bond measure that we are partially dependent on. And I want to make sure that should that pass, this board at least have a discussion how we're going to spend the potential state bond money. Should that all go to the middle school construction? And I think I want to make it very clear that that is dependent on how much money is wasted by the district through potential delays, litigation delays.
Thank you. Any other questions? So I did make some comments. I don't know if you guys saw this set or not.
We did.
Okay.
Saw your comments.
Okay, yeah, and they're mostly they're not design wise, they're mostly just technical because I was just reacting to what I was saying. So, and then they apply to, I didn't give you the Tam Valley one because comments sort of applied about the same details appear in both. With that, I think we are looking for approval of design development. So could I get a motion?
So moved.
Could I get a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, and for me, it's just I with like, just read my comments and respond hopefully.
We appreciate getting your comments.
Thank you.
And I think maybe for future board items, we'll do both the playground assessments, just get reminded of that, and then also
That's a great
safety,
idea. Yeah.
and safety.
I think,
And even just like recapping what we're doing for the middle school is helpful, the steps we've taken at Strawberry. Just to help us kind of
update.
Yeah, and like compare also between the campuses.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Oh, now we get to the numbers.
Now we get to the numbers.
Yes.
How far are we over? We're not that far over. There is something for everyone. We are going to move on to business and financials. Consider approval of unaudited actuals, and we have Assistant Superintendent Paula Bernier.
So the unaudited actuals are the financial reporting that we, school districts are required to do. It is our official closing of the books where we report all of our revenues and expenditures through the fiscal year. The reason they're called unaudited actuals is because they are still currently being audited by our district's auditing firms, but we are required to submit them to the state and the county office by September 15th. And if there are any adjustments, then they'll be reflected in our audit report. The first thing I would like to state is I want to give my greatest appreciation and gratitude to Miss Sue Murphy. She's not able to be here. I came on and Sue has took on closing, not just closing. She actually developed the budget last year and closed the books. And unfortunately, she's not able to be here, but I just want to give her the shout out that she is actually the one that actually presented and did all the hard work involved in closing the books. So, yeah. And moving. So this is just a rough summary of the 100+ pages. It's stating our unrestricted and restricted revenues, how we ended up closing, and our expenditures. It summarizes our contributions and where we are in our ending fund balances as to how we're going to start the year currently. This is just a summary of it. I'd like to go to next slide. And this is just outlining our revenues. You can see that the majority of our revenues are from property taxes. Only 4% is actually state funded, and most of those funds are actually, one is just EPA, which is required, $200 per student, and a hold harmless that was granted to all basic aid school districts in 2012 when they developed the LCFF calculator. So no matter what status a district is, there is a hold harmless of all of the categorical funding that they received. But the majority of our funding is property taxes. And another thing that needs to be pointed out is only 9% of our budget is state and federal. And that is due to our population of supplemental students and free reduced students is really low. And those are typically how our categorical funding is developed. The other thing that's really, it's just shows how our community supports the district is that all of our local revenues, and those are things that are supported by a parcel tax, that the voters are showing that they are committed to helping support the school district and our kiddo programs, our PTAs. Small amount is from leases and rentals and our interest. But if it wasn't for all of the additional funding, our schools would look very differently, even with being basic aid. Those allow for all of the additional extras that we have. And you can see our budget is $54 million in revenue. LCFF, is, based on the calculation, is only $25 million. So it's almost double what we would be getting. This is just a summary of all of our revenues where we ended up. Pointing out again, the property tax, what we were receiving, the EPA and the LCFF, which was that hold harmless. Property taxes did come in higher than anticipated at budget adoption. But I have pulled from the county office. They provide us from the assessor's office a trend. So I'll be able to share that in a future meeting or in future reportings, first interim, second interim. I'll start showing where the trends are for property taxes. And it's showing the historical when property taxes are really low, when the economy crashed, then how they started to come up during COVID, all of them. And now it's starting to trend back down. And we already have estimates for the 24-25 that the county assessor's office started providing to the districts last spring. And that is part of a practice that's done here. And what I'd like to do is actually start using those estimates because they typically are spot on. They're maybe off by 0.5%, but to start using those estimates in regards to updating our current revenues within the budget cycle, and then trying to gauge what does it look like in the future so that it doesn't have these huge fluctuations when we're closing the books and our revenues are coming in higher than was projected. Restricted, we don't have a lot of restricted funds like we were stating. Only 9% is federal and state. The majority of those are for categorical fundings, Title I through Title IV, but the biggest amount is special ed. And as we all know, it is a federal mandate that we provide special ed and all the services, but it is not funded at the level that was promised to those. So that's why in the first slide, you saw a huge number that was close to $10 million. And that's typically to support our special ed programs of above and beyond what we provide. So next slide. This is just a summary of our state revenues. You know, typically unrestricted is our, so lottery has two buckets. You have your unrestricted and your restricted, and then your mandated block grant that we receive. The restricted funds, this is what is interesting too, when we get to a slide in the future, is we have restricted funds that, yes, that looks like a really big number, but a lot of those funds are one-time, or they're funds that we're actually going to be returning back to the state based on we didn't use them in regards to what they were requiring the school districts to use. So, and also the STRS and PERS on behalf, that is a technical booking entry that we have to do, that the state wants us to actually acknowledge what the STRS and PERS on behalf is of a district. So it's a revenue and an expenditure that we have to book, but it washes out. So, sorry. And here's our local. And as you can see, leases and rentals is huge to the district. Interest based on our large amount of money that we have. And then fair market value, that is a calculation now that's required for all school districts. We get those numbers from the county because they are the ones that are managing our investments and debt. And then if you go to restricted, oops, sorry, back. Sorry. And then you can see, so we are funded at a SELPA in Marin County that is actually above most of the state. Once again, that we're very fortunate to be in Marin. Most students, we were funded at a lower rate. Governor Newsom has been increasing those over every year. And now the rest of the state has actually kind of caught up to Marin's numbers. So we're about the same. So now anytime that there is a shift or a COLA for special ed, Marin will start to see those fundings. Until most recently, they weren't because they were funded above that level. And then once again, is pointing out that we have an amazing foundation that supports our arts and music programs and the support that they're showing us, and our parcel tax. This parcel tax is vital to our budget. It's about 21% of all of our revenues. And in future slides, we could actually show what type of things it's funding, what type of programs would not exist if we didn't have our parcel tax. So, and this is just a summary. As you can see, 81% of our budget is salaries and benefits. And that is what the state is. It's a requirement for most school districts. You should have 80% of your budget showing that it's for staff and for the benefits, because we are in the business of providing student supports in whatever capacity it is that we are. So operational costs are within the means of what it should be, but in moving forward, we do need to start looking at our budget as you go, sorry. You can start to see that we did end the year with a deficit budgeting, and the patterns that we're seeing in regards to our property tax growth, even with the escalation of a parcel tax, that in our hopes that it will continue. With that growth, we can't sustain the revenues. So the revenues are not matching the expenditures. And we are fortunate that the ending balance this year ended up higher, but the majority of the ending balance was for restricted funds that were one time and are going to go away, or some of them within. So we had funding that came through for expanded learning opportunity that the governor provided to the school districts. A lot of districts throughout California didn't spend those funds because it was too costly. So we've all kind of been sitting on it, and we finally got a survey that we're going to have to complete to the state that's stating, what is your intent? Are you going to be returning? And the LAO has been advising the governor for the last couple years, start doing that, because that's money that can come back into our state revenues and to kind of do away with our own state deficit. So even though our unrestricted, as you can see, we're pretty much spot on. Yes, our revenues have come in a little bit higher, but our expenses kind of balanced out. Our issue is that our ending balance increased significantly due to restricted funds, but those are one-time funding. And we have some expenses within there that are ongoing, and we're going to have to shift to our general fund unrestricted and figure out ways to, how do we maintain what's going to be our priorities moving forward? So this is just the cycle. So currently we are going through our audit. We've presented our unaudited actuals. The auditor just was here. We're wrapping up our audit, and hopefully we'll be presenting either at the December or January board meeting, the final audit. He indicated to me that most likely it's January. I might see the draft in December. And then in December, I'll present the first interim report. I'm going to be doing a lot of work internally within the business side of the house on developing some processes on how we can start better aligning our actual budgets based on what we know at the time and keep doing revisions. So you're going to probably see a lot of shift, and I'll be explaining a lot of those shifts at first interim, why there's a big change from budget to first interim. And then in January, we have the governor's proposal, and that helps us guide us to develop our second interim, to develop what's going to happen to our budget. Sometimes it's a guide, which we don't like, for the March 15th deadline that we have now for classified and certificated. But a lot of stuff comes out from the governor's proposal. We actually, as soon as the governor releases that, we are doing multi-year projections, and we're starting to build our budget. And then in March, we get our second interim, which is based off of the governor's proposal or any new information that we have. And then the May revise, which typically the last couple of years has shifted a little bit from what we see in January. And then we have in June our public hearing on our preliminary budget adoption. And, you know, sometimes we see a lot of changes from first interim. And that is due in part because most school districts are presenting their final budget adoption before the state even adopts. So there's going to be a lot of changes that take place if the budget is significantly different from the May proposal. So, yeah. Any further questions?
Trustee you.
So Paula and I had a lengthy discussion about this, so I know she has really good answer for this. Our cash balance is $4 million better than budget last year. And could you explain to us and the rest of the board why we are $4 million better, why that may not continue? And more importantly, I want to make sure, I want to get an understanding, I know it's very approximate, of an impact of offering all those transitional kindergarten on our school finances, and how that's going to likely impact our decision-making process as far as a lot of things are concerned going this year. Because I just want to make sure everybody understands, we don't get a single dime for offering transitional kindergarten. We have to spend our existing money. And I want to make sure that everybody understands that it has to come from somewhere. And get a little bit of a rough estimate of our financial picture, even in this meeting, because it makes it seem like it's always, oh, you guys always over budget and you're always better off and your cash balance is always high. And I want us to all come to the same conclusion that may not continue.
Yeah. So that was where I was trying to point out that yes, our property taxes came in higher, our revenues overall. I tried to explain all the differences within the assumptions of the narrative. But there are further details that can be done. And that is, yes, our property taxes are coming in. And that's why I wanted to get a deeper dive and start pulling the information that the county office had and to see the trend. Where are we and what are we actually showing already? Because I already know that that role is here. And this year we ended up at close to 7%. But next year it is already showing based off of the May tax roll that we're at 4.7. And that is a current tax roll. So that is a significant drop. And those are things that we need to start planning for because we're starting to see the effects of our tax rolls typically come in about 18 months after a property is sold. And that's the trend here. And we should be planning typically for 2 years ahead. Well, sometimes I think we should do 5. But some will say that's not even liable because it's only as good as the day that you printed it, right? And the assumptions that you had. But it does give you the ability to, based on the trends that we're seeing and our controlled operational expenses that we know, it can give us a good guideline. Okay, are we overstaffed or do we have to tighten up in certain areas? So there are some benefits to having 5-year multi-year projections. But we are already seeing currently the revenues that came in higher this year are not going to be happening next year.
But that only had an impact of about $1 million and a change. The rest didn't, it didn't have, but we also had $1 million higher, probably interest income.
Yeah.
That helped.
Yeah.
And then the other one came from restricted funds not being spent.
Not being spent that are
will be
one
spent
time.
this year. But more importantly, I want to get a little bit better understanding in the future of impact of offering all those transitional kindergarten because I'm guesstimating that's going to be somewhere around $3 million additional expenses going around in the future that will lead into our deficit, right?
Yeah. So that kind of leads us into, as a district, we're going to be developing a budget advisory committee. We want everybody to be part of it. We've reached out to both bargaining groups, to parent groups, to the community. We are going to be bringing in an individual that worked with the board last year who kind of is going to be mediating. Our goal is to also bring in Mike Fine from FIGMAT, the CEO, and kind of help guide us why it's important to do some of the things that we're doing by developing this committee. It's not, yes, TK is a big expense, but I think it's going through the process of creating all of the different line items that cost. And yes, they're great. They're part of our district, but we can't sustain the expenses that we have currently. And there might be some tough decisions, but we're hoping that this committee will help us in building some of the solutions and developing some of those line items because we have ideas in our head, but there might be somebody out there that's going to be part of the committee that throws out another idea that we never even thought of. And so we do hope that we can come to, by the end of next year, to provide to the board some recommendations in regards to why it's important to have reserves of a certain level, especially when you're basic aid, because as you can see, a lot of our extras are from local funds. It's a parcel tax. It's our kiddo. It's all these programs that, you know, we're asking a lot of our community and we want to continue with that. So yes, TK is a huge one.
How many more TK? I'm sorry.
Sorry.
We'll go in order, trustee. So,
Hmm.
sorry.
You spoke of parcel taxes and that's 54% of our budget, right?
21.
Oh,
Parcel
sorry,
tax.
I don't mean, I mean property taxes. Thank you. So can you speak to why the increase in 7%? Were you provided information? And if so, who provided the information and why there was that jump?
So in August of every year, we get our final, it's called the J-29. So it is the final tax roll that we get. It doesn't really help us when we're going through budget development, but that's why the county gives us all of these monthly reports to help guide you. Okay, where is it trending? Where do you think you're going to end? So that's typical. My past practice has been that I always use those to develop my budget. So I already had the estimates for the current year, and they were giving me an estimated tax roll for the future year. So typically in my MYPs for budget adoption, you're already going to see that number.
Right, so I guess, but my question is more this, it's a little more higher level in terms of looking strategically out here in Mill Valley,
Mhm.
where our property taxes are going. I'd like to see an analysis of this town
Mm.
and its trend line
Yeah.
versus San Rafael or San Anselmo,
Yeah.
because I think you're getting data
We
that's
have that.
Marin County. Okay,
Yeah.
so, so great. So that trend line, the other thing too,
Mhm.
is to look at the demographics of our city.
Mhm.
And has there been any conversation related to the age of the people that own properties and looking out in terms of how that impacts our property taxes?
Yeah, and that's something that we have to dig deeper into. I would think that that's going to be part of our demographic study, that they're going to look into that because as Reed has been experiencing when I was talking to their new business official, didn't see the significant increases that they were anticipating. Well, that was because of Prop 13, and you can just, what is it, within 2 generations, pass on your property to the next generation, and you're not going to see, and you're paying the property taxes when the
That's-
house.
That's actually not true. So what I'm wanting to say is that I think we need to drill down very carefully on property taxes here in Mill Valley, because Prop 19, which was passed a couple years ago, 21 probably, has changed that paradigm. So now when I think we're probably going to see a large percentage of Mill Valley population is over 65. It'd be
Yeah.
very interesting to see how many are actually 80 to 90 and 90 to 100. And then look at those property tax rolls are
Mhm.
typically going to be those buildings
Stable.
are very low assessments. So I'd like to just to see
Mhm.
that analysis, and I'm not sure who can do that for us.
Yeah.
Or if that's something that
The demographer might.
We can have the
perhaps,
demographer.
but as it relates to our taxes, I think that's an opportunity to look at that equation, because I think we've got really good data
Yeah.
on what our expense side is moving forward.
Yeah.
Um,
And also it's, yes, a big part of it is residential, but we do get impacted by some of the commercial. And one of the things that we all got hit by is twice now, Nordstrom has had lawsuits in Marin that they have won both times. And that affected our property tax rolls where they pulled money after. And they just had one last year that took place. So it's not just the residential, it's also looking at our commercial properties. And I think we can find a way to get that information.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Trustee Abdul.
So I totally appreciate the TK comment. You know, I'm a big proponent of early childhood education. So I'd love to make sure that totally hear the cost, that we're evaluating all of what's on the table. I recognize we're making cuts. I recognize people think that we can have really tiny classes, and, I really like TK. So it's gonna be a balance. I do, maybe I just want to point out Terra Marin is charging $30,000 to $50,000 per preschool student. 42. So for a private preschool to come here and expect that we just give them free rent because they have not paid their rent at the cost of our taxpayer dollars, frankly, should be really offensive to all of our taxpayers and all of our supporters of public school, that we would be potentially taking money, basically giving this grant to a private school that is charging that much per preschooler and expecting.
$42,000 for preschool. Our per student spending is what, 21,000? Yes. I rest my case. So can I just want to make sure, there is a perception. We are a wealthy district. I mean, yes, we are compared to the state average, But it's not $26,000 at Tiburon, and it's not $40,000 at Sausalito Marin Schools District. It's $21,000 in expensive Marin. And also another thing I want to just make sure we get this right in the next budget cycle is that, last year I felt like we were conservative with the revenue side, and we were also very aggressive on when we will spend the restricted funds. So I remember thinking, well, but deficit spent $2-3 million last year. That did not happen. It was flat, a lot better than we expected. But I also understand that's because of that higher than expected interest rate of about $1 million. And it was also because our revenue came at 7% higher, property taxes came at 7% higher.
Yeah.
But from our meeting, I know it's now, the county is telling us it's 4.7%, which is very close to what we modeled at 4%, right? So that's not going to be providing us with additional cushion. So am I wrong in thinking this year will be budget deficit spending about $3 million?
Yes, but we're attempting currently, we're doing a soft freeze, really evaluating all of our expenses. Not doing as many consulting agreements, really trying to tighten up in certain areas that we can within the limitations that we have. We're locked into salaries and benefits. We can't make any changes there, but what we could do is really evaluate all of our open positions and evaluate, is there an extreme need? What is and really start trying to tighten up. And that's part of the process with the business department now that I'm going to have, is tightening up position control to be a little bit more representative of what our salaries and benefits are.
And I just want to get a rough estimate, because this will be discussed later on, not at this meeting. What's the cost of an additional class? Typically, let's say kindergarten
With
per
an aid?
class,
With an aid?
Yeah.
with an A, 300, 400?
She takes a calculator hour.
Yeah, I just want to know,
have my
because,
other weapon.
these decisions should not be made in a vacuum, in my opinion. We need to really understand what it cost us, how much because we're coming from an environment now will be deficit spending. I don't see any way out of it. We don't have the cushion of our property taxes coming in at 7-8% anymore. I mean, I've seen the numbers. I'm very concerned. And I just want to get an understanding of what each class cost us.
Which we have. I just want to point out,
Yeah.
like this last year, when we did have the discussion, there was a demand for Edna and TAM, and we made decisions to be
Yes.
mindful. I mean,
Of,
there was a push for Spanish.
Exactly.
I might have been part of it too, but like.
yeah,
we have to
we
pick and
have to be
choose.
pragmatic.
So
and
I
yeah.
think that's something we've been doing for
Yeah.
a little while, and we had to continue, but.
And this year particularly, because I think we don't have that additional cushions anymore, is the impression I
No,
get.
and I remember, I think the three of us were pretty brand new board members when we approved the TOSAs.
Yeah.
Knowing that it was coming from.
Our general
one
fund.
ti- No, what the
One-time fund.
initial, it
Initial one,
started
yeah.
with one-time funds.
Now it's on.
Now it's on
us.
us, and we knew that that was a significant cost that was going to come out of our general fund, and
Yeah,
Yeah.
but we
so
didn't
we
know
did
the
have that
full,
conversation, but yeah, no.
we didn't know the full impact of the TK situation.
Correct, correct. But,
So did you
which
come
is
up with a
on us.
number?
okay, do you have
So
enough?
the number roughly, please don't quote
Yeah.
me, because I'm doing it on the
Ish.
pen and paper. For with a teacher and an aide, it's about 300,000.
Okay, that's what
Per
I would have
classroom.
thought.
So I do also want to say I'm very interested on the property tax side. I find 4.7 to be alarmingly low, because if you look at our Mill Valley trend line, it has been higher than that for the last 20 years. And I'm not, so I think we really do need to explore that in a board meeting. And I know we've got BCs that will inform us along the way. And I think we'll come really well prepared to have a conversation after you get the demography information and maybe explore getting some outside county eyes on our specific 54%, and where that's going to go in the next 3 to 5 years.
But the median prices have been falling this year.
Okay.
Residential
Yeah.
real estate everywhere. It has been falling. this
So what
year.
I could do is provide in a next board meeting or in a BC, what I can get from the county. Yeah. Yeah. Whatever.
From the board president.
Yes.
I have one quick question. Going from 7% increase to 4, like, is there a number? What does that mean? Like, what is that number? In
For-
terms of our taxes, the increase, if we were up 7 last year, and now we're looking at 4.7 or something.
4.7.
So do you have that as a actual number? No, okay, that's
Sorry.
okay. That's okay. That's fine.
I can
Because-
pull it.
Well, I mean, isn't
Your
it
brands
just-
operate in percentages and mine operates like
In
a
dollars.
hard
But
number,
isn't
yeah.
it just the difference of where we would have landed and where we did land,
Mhm.
essentially? Because we also
No,
last year
we
predicted.
modeled around, yeah.
Yeah,
But
so it
I'm,
should be the
again,
same.
just wondering.
No, we
I
landed
don't know
at
what that number
7%.
is, but it should be the same.
Didn't we
So-
land at 7% and now county office is saying next year is 4.7?
Yeah, the county assessor's office. So
I'm saying that forecasted.
We forecast- we
did
mo-
the same
yeah.
thing last time. We forecasted it for something, right?
4.5, I
We
thought.
forecasted at 4.5, it turned out 7,
Right.
so whatever that differential is. should be
That's
the same
1.2
as-
million.
Can we
Okay.
have that,
Yeah.
can we
it's
have that
1.2
actual document
1.2
sent to
to
us?
Oh, yeah.
That'd be great.
Because I went
The
through, I
assessor's
went
office.
through the delta. So Paula, what you need to do is, remember when we had a discussion that what, $4 million better than expected cash?
Mhm.
Exactly how we got there. And, I would like to get it. So this much came from higher than expected tax revenue. This much came from delayed expenditures. This
Yep.
much, forget about it because we were going to give it back to the state. Like that kind of,
Yep.
like, I want the reconciliation.
Yeah.
So that we all get what is going on and why you think next year we can't budget at 7%.
Mhm. Okay.
And I think that will clarify a lot of the issues.
Mhm.
And I know you have that information because we discussed it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bring it in October.
Any other,
Okay.
any other questions on this? Anybody else? Okay. Wow, well, thank you. Thank you very much. So now we are looking at, an approval of the resolution? Of resolution 6, no, consider approval of the unaudited actuals. Oh, sorry, we did that one first. One at a time.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
No.
Aye.
Is this?
No, roll call vote is the next one. Which is the resolution 624
Oh,
of can limit, which Paula will present as well.
And now we have the GAN resolution, which we are required. Sorry, the GAN resolution, which we're also required and is part of our unaudited actuals. And in layman's terms, it is a calculation that is checking to make sure that a school district is spending at least, if not more, from one year to the next. And it's just a calculation that's required. There was a couple of years ago where some districts weren't able to meet this, and that was all due to one-time funding that we got from the federal government, where, yes, then the following years you saw a significant drop. So there were exceptions. Even the state had a finding on that they couldn't even meet the GAN limit. So it's just a calculation that we have to show that we're either at minimum, at the bare same, and then going forward.
So we just need a motion for resolution 62425. Oh,
there
questions? Any questions? Sorry. Can I get a motion to pass this? A second?
Second.
And now this is a,
President Nakatani,
yes.
trustee Abdoli,
Aye.
trustee Sanchez Todd.
Aye.
Trustee you.
Hi.
I'm trustee Katz and I'm an aye. Courtney.
Thank you. Motion
Mhm.
passes.
Okay.
And
Present.
thank you very
All
much.
right.
Yeah, next one is the board operations. Go ahead, please. Thank you.
Okay, and now with us, we have our legal counsel on the bond. And yeah, Courtney Jones, and we also have our financial advisor, Greg Isom, and it's the resolution on the issuance of Series B of Measure G.
Yes, good evening, members of the board and Dr. Kaufman, and thank you, Assistant Superintendent Ringley. I'm Courtney Jones with Jones Hall, and we have been serving the district as its legal counsel, its bond counsel, and disclosure counsel in connection with the issuance of its Measure G bonds. And item K1 before the board tonight would authorize a second series of bonds pursuant to Measure G. This resolution is one very similar to the format of the Series A bond resolution. It contains essential boilerplate and legally required terms, identifying to investors the security for the bonds, which is ad valorem property taxes. And it's currently drafted within certain parameters that have been structured by the district's finance team, including Greg Isom, who I see is on as well tonight. Isom Advisors, your financial advisor. And so this bond resolution would authorize up to amount of 75 million as the second series of bonds. It would authorize staff working with the professional team to move forward with the bond issuance. And it authorizes certain documents that are on file with you as draft at this point, but we will continue our due diligence process and finalize those documents, the bond purchase agreement and the preliminary official statement, which is essentially the offering prospectus, which will be circulated to potential bond investors. So this resolution can be approved upon a motion and a majority vote of the board. But before the board would consider doing that, I'll turn it over to Greg because we require direction regarding the exact bond structure to proceed with from the board. And there are 3 options which his office has prepared.
Thank you, Courtney. I assume people can hear me right now. I've been dealing with the migraine for the last 36 hours, so my usual energy level is going to be much lower than you guys are used to. So what you have before you is 3 options, and while we're not following each option to a specific T, we always give an update every single year based off of the assessed value of the school district and what it did, and kind of what existing interest rates are. And so these are different options that have been floating around for the last year and a half. There's the option 2B2 right in the middle, where someone said, well, what would be the quickest way for us to access all of our bond dollars? And you can see where you can get all your money with option 2B2 by 2027. But if you kind of look at in the middle where it says total repayment amount, you're looking at about 436 million. And you're gonna say, wow, that's a big number. Well, then someone said, well, what's a really option? And well, on the right-hand side is a pretty conservative option for Mill Valley. And you're gonna say, okay, well, while the total repayment amount is the lowest, yeah, it takes us the longest to get there. And so then someone said, well, what's a kind of a meet in the middle option? And option 2B1 on the far left is kind of the plan that we're following and that we're recommending, and and sharing this with staff, which is going to be able to access the vast majority of the money the soonest, while at a cheaper plan of almost $50 million. So what we are proposing and kind of what's this resolution is based off of is this option 2B1, where we're selling bonds not to exceed $75 million. Some people will say, is now a good time, Greg, to sell bonds? Well, actually, what's crazy is now is turning into a very good time to sell bonds, even better than when we started this a couple weeks ago, even a month ago. I know Uni will probably ask the question, well, where are we? Because we just sold some San Rafael elementary bonds, and I believe they're kind of about 4.1%. And those are bonds that are a AA credit. Well, just today we were selling bonds for a district in Glenn County, which is a single A credit, not even a AA, let alone a AAA. And they are achieving a rate right now of 4.1%. So if we were able to lock in bonds for you guys, we would be able to lock in rates probably right around, I'd say at least 3.8% as of right now. And actually what we're using is a rate of 4.5% to be pretty conservative here. So I think right now the timing is right. This is fitting the timeline of accessing the bond funds according to, almost whatever construction plan you guys are following. But yeah, so this is kind of where we're landing. And this is what the administration felt comfortable with. This is what we feel comfortable with. And that is what you guys are voting on, is the resolution in front of you.
Is that it? Do we have any questions for, sorry, Greg, are you finished? I just don't want to.
I am done, yes.
Trustee you.
So when we had a conversation, I said 3.7, and I'm hoping that since the market's better, it should be 3.6, right, Greg?
How did I know a question like that was going to be coming from you? I am being conservative right now. I want you guys to be happy with a 3 number. I think it will be lower, but I want to set expectations a little bit higher than give you great news rather than tell you a lower number, then things change in the next 2 weeks.
I said 3.7 a few weeks ago.
Yes, yes. I am still hoping for that as well.
All right.
Do we have a like a Ladbrokes bet on you, Yoonhee?
I knew it would be 3.6. Fingers crossed.
Any other questions? So the recommendation is to go with 2B1,
Yes.
right? All right.
By the way, I want to thank you for your very well presentation with a migraine and hope that you're feeling better soon. So thank you for being.
I hope so too. It's painful right now.
I know. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, well then we need a roll call vote on this. We could get a motion, please, to authorize the issuance and sale of general obligation bonds.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
All right, President Nakatani.
Aye.
Trustee Abdoli. Trustee Sensah Chad.
Aye.
Trustee Yu.
Aye.
I'm Trustee Katz and I'm an aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Everyone have a great night.
Hope you feel better.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next resolution is.
Okay, and before you have a resolution to endorse Prop 2. Prop 2 is the measure that's going to the November state bond. It's for our state bonds. It would access $10 million. 8.5 of it would go toward schools. And we would actually be on, hopefully, the list to receive those fundings. That is part of our plan, is to actually tap into these funds. So we're definitely in support of this proposition passing.
So I would like to add to that from my conversation with JLAC. So this bond will prioritize smaller school districts with old buildings, which would qualify. And with this additional funds from this bond measure, we will be able to do more for our schools, which is great news because right now our budget's really tight.
Great. Any other questions? Okay, could I get this a roll call vote as well? Yeah, could I get a motion?
Motion.
Second, thank you.
Right, President Nakatani.
Aye.
Trustee Abdoli.
Aye.
Trustee Sensah Chad.
Aye.
Trustee Yu.
Aye.
And I am Trustee Katz and I am an aye.
Thank you very much. Now, our last item under board operations is our CSBA board policy updates.
Yeah, we're asking for a first read and approval of new policies relating to Title IX. There have been recent updates and we want to make sure that our district's operating currently in alignment with what the law is.
Any questions? First read? No? Okay.
Just a regular motion.
Thank you. Could I get a motion?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes. Now we are on to future board items.
I captured 2, one on safety, which I'm gonna place with the January safety plan. I think we approved the safety plan in January. So I will place that there or at whatever meeting we do approve. But again, I believe it's January. And then the other is the budget, property tax calculations and assessment. I think we'll bring that in November because we'll have the opportunity to do some more development and assessment with the Budget Advisory Committee along the way.
Thank you. And Yes, trustee Katz.
I just wanted to ask if we were going to discuss, I know it's not on the agenda, Measure B or, no.
No?
Okay. Okay, all right,
Bye.
thank you.
So, board reports. Would anyone like to start? Does anybody have anything?
Really excited about back to school night at the elementary schools last week and looking forward to attending for the second year in a row. Now I know I have my bearings at the middle school tomorrow night.
Running around from class to class.
Exactly.
your
It
schedule.
brings back those nostalgic moments of the mad dash and scramble from place to place as everybody just
You get 10 minutes in one
tries to
classroom and
figure
then
out where they
front-
need to go and gives you a lot more sympathy and empathy for what the students go through on the first day of school. So
Great, I will be there too. Anybody else?
I want to second trustee Katz's comment. I went to Park and to Old Mill and was there early for the TK presentations and the cost aside, the family community building that TK provides and the opportunity for our students to, you know, become school ready is invaluable. And we have excellent teachers. So that was a joy to be in there as a past teacher. Got a little wistful. And then Old Mill with their rousing multipurpose room presentation was great and saw our superintendent there. And so I think we're off to a good start.
Great. Anyone else?
I went to Tam Valley, back to school night. Exciting. I love the video that our principal Lisa showed about the new middle school. Thinking a lot of younger families excited about the school. I heard a lot of young families discussing, oh, is this going to open up, you know, be done before my son is going to be going to school or daughter is going to go to school? And it was very exciting. Once again, I continue to be very impressed by the quality of the teachers and education our children receive at our school.
Great. Thank you. Well, I don't know if you.
Irene ditto. I got to experience 3 classrooms, which I am so grateful that I have my 1 year of 3 in a school. But it did make back to school night a little bit more challenging. But yeah, and we have, you know, back to school night picnic, and I know a lot of the PTAs are planning galas and other events. So it's kind of an exciting time with lots of fun events coming up.
You know, what was so exciting is now that my son is in 5th grade, it was very exciting for me at Tam Valley to see a lot of young families on the at the PTA meeting because I saw a lot of new faces, and I think that's very exciting.
Yeah, it's great. That was good.
Yeah.
I will be at the middle school back to school night tomorrow. I had my own 2 high school back to school nights last week. So I wasn't able to attend any of the school district ones, unfortunately. I did manage to make it to E2 this morning.
Oh,
well done.
I thought about you.
What about the lunch program?
E2 is at 7:30 in the morning.
What happened to the lunch?
Well, it was discussed. Food for All was discussed. There is a grant that they've received, and they've hired Conscious Kitchen to study Food for All. So
Started by our own assistant superintendent.
Really?
She started kitchen in Sausalito.
Oh,
yeah.
You didn't know that?
I didn't know that.
I should have
There's-
made a BC.
Yes.
No,
You must be so impressed by Lunchmaster then.
No, it's really exciting because it was started by a lot of the, you know, districts are very unhappy with Lunchmaster. But we're stuck with it for now, and hopefully I know that they're trying to lobby at the state level about.
Yeah. So
offering us
there's
more
a
flexibility.
Slack channel for E2 that opened up.
Yeah.
And so I was
Is it
literally.
fun and exciting. like
Well,
Daylac?
kind of not, yeah, well, a lot of people went straight to Daylock, but I started typing up, you know, like where we were at in our project, just to let everybody in E2 know that, you know, I at one time advocated for a full commercial kitchen and quickly realized over a year that that wasn't gonna happen. It wasn't, well, there's that,
Yeah.
and also the commitment of the district being able to find a committed employee to even run it is also a challenge. So, but you know, I still have dreams in a perfect world that school districts could come together. So I'm just kind of putting my feelings out there on the E2 Slack channel for perpetuity for.
What happened to the community college chef idea? Are they pursuing that at all?
Well, so since I was on E2 at 7:30 in the morning while I'm still trying to carpool a
Yeah.
kid, I was listening, I wasn't taking active notes, so.
Yeah,
I have to
that
go
was
back
jet
and,
lag for me this morning, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Can I-
okay.
Can I add in on the lunch situation? If TAM district is so fortunate as to
Yes.
have their bond passed and they can then expand their kitchen and hire additional staff, they are legally required to offer their services to provide lunches to surrounding communities. And so there would then be a possibility, and I've heard very good things about the high school lunches that they have there. And they can
that they're good.
Yeah, my kid eats there every
then
day.
that would be an additional option provided to our district. And so added incentive for people to get behind it, in addition to the fact that their children in our district will be there most likely in the not too distant future.
Leveraging
entire board
dollars
and
across
the
districts,
background.
that's a great, we need to
Yeah,
let the,
yeah.
let
Me
our
too.
business conscious folks know.
What? And this entire board endorsed.
And so I'm just gonna add one more thing to E2 real quick once we wrap this up. They did a little presentation on AI. And so they have a lot of resources for PD for teachers on AI that they've linked into their county website.
We're working on
And
CKLA.
I know. It really applies more to the high schools, but if any of our middle school teachers, or whoever, I think there's some free resources on the county website about AI
Awesome.
information. So I will just forward that
I
to you.
need
You
to
could
learn
share it.
too.
Yeah.
And may I just quickly add one last?
Of course.
At back to school night, I thought it was really exciting that all the teachers were presenting about CKLA, and I think both sharing that it is a big lift and it's a big change and requiring a ton of effort from the teachers, to Elizabeth's point, day by day. But I had a teacher approach me as I was leaving who said, I am so excited about this new curriculum, and it's a lot of work, but it's really great. And it's something that we've been needing. And I know we focused earlier on English and math as the building blocks, but also the fact that this curriculum ties in social studies and science, and building that core knowledge for our students is so important. And so given that, the level of comprehensiveness behind that and the excitement, it just makes me feel really, really excited for a few years out from now when everybody's fully settled, but also just really excited for our students who are going to benefit from this. So that's it.
Thank you. This is fabulous. With that, my cheat sheet away already. I think we will adjourn, and we
have
ran
to
long.
adjourn to closed session. We can't close the meeting unless,
Either
we're gonna
we talked about going to close, which means
well,
everyone,
you all need to deliberate if you want to do that.
do we want to continue our closed session? from earlier?
I would like to change my mind about going.
That's
Sorry,
okay.
I'm kind of tired.
It's okay. That's why we're discussing. And we will come to consensus on this.
I have children at home. I need to get back.
You do.
I don't
Right.
think we've had, other than me, you guys haven't had dinner either.
Yeah.
No actions are required.
No actions are required. We are
No
just
actions
going
are
to continue,
required.
but we
Okay.
will have to pick that up some other time. So with that, we will close the meeting. All right, at 8:37. Thank you, everyone.
I'm like, what are you talking?
Elizabeth, which one of these can I
So
take?
let-